All right, today what I'm going to do is copy this Rockwell. It's something that I've always loved. I always loved Rockwell's work. I've got a little bit of time today, so I'm just going to do what I can. And of course, I have so many ideas of so many to do a copy of, but you know, Christmas is around the corner. So I'm just going to grab. I remember one of my teachers said, like, be bold, and the only way to really dig in and be bold is to sketch with a pen. So I'm just going to go at it with a pen today, and just the only way to learn to be bold is to be bold. So I'm just going to build out of the face there. And I remember, there are plenty of times where I've been told, you got to sketch the whole thing out. Play with these ideas. What do you think of them? That's what I always say, like, bat them around, try them out. Just because somebody said do one thing, of course, there's usually a reason why. But you can tackle paintings from drawings and paintings and everything from many different ways. So, play around with sketching whenever you can, even hatching. I get asked, how do you hatch? I don't know. First thing to do is to jump in and then start to have your own formulas. Or formulate your own opinions, I should say, not formulas. And then after that, you can begin to kind of find out what you're lacking, but you'll have something to at least gauge. And I feel very strongly about that. Like, I don't know, you don't want to be bound yet. Like, just jump in. And then after, you can kind of begin to find out what's working and what's not. But again, there's always a contrasting idea or opinion, and we don't all have to agree on things. There we go. Just kind of get the expression of Santa. Even if this drawing goes, it's too small or something, I don't particularly care. I'm just gonna sketch what I can, and sometimes it's like, can you make whatever you did work? And I'm gonna see if I can just do that. So play around with, back in the day before they were doing bark plates and stuff like that in ateliers, they were copying the work of old master work, and they were trying to kind of get the sense of form by copying engravings. And I think that just the sense of studying all the time, like, look at, can I break that up to give it the feeling of hair? Can I get a spatial relationship by kind of feeling through? We don't always have the luxury of having a lot of time on our hands and being able to measure. One of the things I did when I was in school for animation was I would go to the zoo, and it was me by myself every weekend, and just draw the animals, just so I, could get good at drawing fast. We were kind of learning how to draw slow, which I thought was very slow at the time. But then I found out later that ateliers work even more slower than the way in which we were working. So just gonna move the light there. I don't know. What does it mean to go slow? What does it mean to go fast? Can you do all of them? What does it mean to draw with line? What does it mean to draw with tone? I'm playing with these ideas all the time, and I just feel always I come to my kind of own conclusions of how I feel about them rather than somebody telling me how I'm supposed to feel. There we go. So there's nice space going on in there. I wouldn't say this is the most accurate drawing, but it doesn't particularly matter. Sketching sometimes is losing the feeling or the want or desire to get things completely accurate, which is another wonderful reason to do master copy sketches or master sketches, because you can learn to just turn the page if it's bad, or even if it's just quicker. Sometimes there's more life in a quick drawing or painting than there is with having a tremendous amount of time, especially if you're not quite sure what to do with all that time. And that's what a lot of training is about, is to kind of teach you how to slow down. Well, what does it mean to speed up now? There's actually a wonderful Delacroix quote that says, if you can't sketch a man falling from a fourth-story window by the time he hits the ground, then you can't draw. Quite fascinating, I don't know, something about being able to kind of sketch quickly and slow that always, for me, it felt like I was able to kind of um, broaden the skill set by being able to do the both. And I always a big proponent of sketching all the time. I have plenty of sketches in here from when I went to museums this year, and just did what you can with a small amount of time. And um, you know, obviously you can draw statues if you want to, but can you? I used to sketch the compositions just really quickly. You're kind of taking home your memento that you can now study. That what does it mean to kind of break the line, let the eye um, make up the middle? Something I remember my teacher Thomas Grombucht when I was at the Academy of Art was always, what does it mean to kind of round out the line? Does it have to be a straight line? Work through these ideas. What is hatching? Does it have to go one way? Does it have to go another? Sometimes it's nice to copy faithfully the way in which somebody's working, but then it's also sometimes nice to interpret it with your own hand, your own style. I think that's sometimes beautiful. If you look at some of the old copies that something like John Singer Sargent did with the Velázquez paintings, something like that. It's like my own natural feel of how I draw. You look at those John Singer Sargent drawings or paintings or copies of the Velázquez, and they're his. I mean, it looks like his. It doesn't look like anyone else's, and it doesn't particularly look like a Velázquez either. It's reminiscent, and I'm talking about I think it's Aesop, the one that he did. Go give it a Google search and see the John Singer Sargent version of it. I think it's absolutely wonderful to kind of think that way, that like, oh, he brought something different to it. And of course it's in the spirit of it, but he owned it. He extracted what he wanted from it. He wasn't just faithfully doing a copy, which sometimes that's extremely wonderful as well. But what does it mean to kind of make it your own, or to sketch it, to extract, to pull from it? And I think these are things that, should all work out and formulate your own opinions of what you think. So kind of going off there, yeah, maybe I should have had a little bit more room there. It doesn't particularly matter. There's nice space going on there. And then over here, maybe over here is, maybe it just ends. I don't know. But sometimes, like when the timer goes off, you can end it. I could go over to the other page, which has notes on it. But then you've got this dial or diary entry, almost in a sense, of what you got and what you didn't. What did you extract from it? And the dialogue begins. That's why it's wonderful to kind of sketch and pull from the old masters, and always be looking. Go, like, can you balance the drawing? He does wonderfully, but what would happen if I stop now? Would the sketch be balanced? There we go. Outer part of the eye. Maybe pull this in. Maybe I want to kind of add a little bit of tone. Maybe there's more tone down here. Maybe I want to just balance this as like a dark. And this is why I think it was Frank Benson said that if you're not actively always designing, not just design in terms of a composition, but it's like strokes. This is designing. Then you're in trouble. You should be doing it all the time in everything that you do. And I highly encourage you to kind of think of it here. It's just a great place to kind of test out the data and sketch and do copies. I used to do copies of like Bridgman all the time. Still am doing them. Kind of get the sense of, here we go, just the sense of the movement in his work. Go, what does it mean if you just kind of go over it, darken it? What does that mean? Just stop it there. All right, here we go. I think that, sometimes I look at my sketches, I'm like, I totally have like my own style of the way that I kind of do things. pattern in here. He's doing it with the, to describe the form as well. So that shows as a glove. Maybe you want to put a little bit of form underneath. Okay, do you have to draw it all in? I don't know. Maybe you want to, maybe you don't. But if you're always looking to loosen, you may want to consider just playing. This is a great place to kind of play with the data. Play with an extraction of the data, I don't know. Is that maybe a short hand there? Maybe I want to extend it. I'm going to bring this over now. Does it matter? I don't know. The thing about these two is that they're honest. And I can't kind of hide behind it. I didn't trace a photo or something like that. I'm just sketching. It's just pure sketching. And there's a nice gesture going on. And Santa's little, jolly laugh here that I think captured something from it. And when it comes time to maybe doing my own one day, I'll be pulling from this, So anyway, I encourage you all sketch as well. I think sketching is just a wonderful way to, actively be pursuing the same thing. There we go. All right. I think that's about good for this one. Just 10 minutes, enough time for me to kind of sketch and play and pull. And, it's beautiful. It's not perfect, but I do think there's an extraction of something there that is at least interesting. Maybe this would have came down a little bit more in there.